So we're going to do an activity real quick. So I need each of you to just kind of sit still and pay attention to what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, smile. As soon as I say smile, I need each of you to smile. So just make sure that your teeth are closed, but smile like with your mouth open, okay? Does that make sense? Okay, we're going to do it 3 times. 1, 2, 3, smile. Did you hear it? One more time. 1, 2, 3, smile. One more time. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, fun noise right there. So something I just did, it was just a fun activity to show all of you. But the point of it is that you're a little bit less stressed now. So what I'm going to be talking about today is stressing happiness. And I know that that is a little ironic to stress happiness when I'm talking about the fact that happiness de-stresses us. But that was just a fun activity. So I want to tell you a story. I was sitting in a class a few weeks ago, and there was a student who was sharing an experience that she had had. She was sharing that there was a guy at this gas station. So she's just standing there pumping her gas like any other normal person does. And you know, sometimes we just have like emotionless faces. We don't really like do anything. Like there's no happiness, there's no sadness. We're just there doing it. And so this guy walks up to her and says, "You know, you'd be a lot prettier if you smiled." She was like, "What?" Like, what do you mean? He was like, "You'd be a lot prettier if you smiled." Like, it's true. And so I was thinking about that after she had shared that in class. And I was like, you know, is it true? Like, are you prettier when you smile? And then are there other benefits to smiling? Are there other things that can help us, you know, as we smile? And so I started to research, and I found this question, and it really kind of just struck me in a way that I hadn't really thought about. But how is it possible to measure something as subjective as happiness? How is it possible to measure something as subjective as happiness? You know, it's pretty subjective. You know, you can just, everybody's different. We all have our different attitudes in life. But the Harvard Business Review shared this quote. They say, "There are many ways to measure happiness. We can ask people, how happy are you right now? And then have them rated on a scale from 1 to 10. They can also use a magnetic reasoning, or they can measure the blood flow from the brain and the activity of the smile muscles in our face to be able to find the results." What was interesting, though, is that the results are pretty much the same. And so the cheaper and the easier way to measure our happiness is just to ask people, "How are you doing today?" and have them rated on a scale from 1 to 10. So that quote had mentioned something interesting. It said smile muscles. What are smile muscles? And so we have a slide on here. So on here, this is the zygomatic major muscle. So right there in the GIF, it's the red muscles that are right there. So when you smile, just a standard smile, it's just the muscle pulling the corners of your lips up. Then, on the next slide, there's the orbicularis oculi. You can try to say that 10 times fast. But that one is around your eyes. It's actually around both eyes. But that is when you smile with both your mouth and your eyes. So you have the standard smile of just your mouth, and then you have the genuine smile that's your mouth and your eyes. And that's also called the Duchenne smile. So each time you smile, your brain throws like a little happy party. You might not notice it, but your brain does because it's the muscles that's going on. And so when those muscles are activated, it releases all these neuropeptides. And neuropeptides are tiny molecules that allow neurons to communicate with each other. It also allows the neurotransmitters, including dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins, to be released. And it's those that make us happy. And it also helps us to relax our body and reduces our stress levels altogether. So there's a study done at Midwestern University in Arizona, and it's a school that specializes in health science. But the study was done by 2 psychological scientists that are actually from the University of Kansas. And these scientists, their names are Tara Kraft and Sarah Pressman. So what they did is they go to Arizona, they gather 169 participants, and they separate those 169 participants into 3 different groups. Those 3 different groups include those who, one, have a neutral face on the left side. No smile, no eyes, nothing. Then they also have a group that has the completely genuine smile, so on the far right side, where they have the eyes and they have the smile included. But in the middle, there's a picture of just a standard smile. But on the next slide, this is what they had them do. They had them put a chopstick in their mouth. What's interesting is these people don't realize that they're smiling, but they are because of the chopstick in their mouth. And so they trained them. They had them separate into those 3 groups. They practiced and just kind of stuck with that facial expression for a while. And then they went into their study and their tests. And it was a multitasking activity where they were asked to put one of their hands in their, submerge their hand in ice cold water. So freezing cold. The other hand, their non-dominant hand, they're asked to trace a star on a piece of paper, but the star is on a mirror in front of them. So a little difficult. It's also with your non-dominant hand, so not the easiest thing. But it's also not the most stressful thing. But while you also have a chopstick in your mouth, you're trying to focus on so many different things at one time, they were stressing. And so they do this activity, and then they go into this other room privately with each of the scientists. And they were asked 2 questions. 1, how are you feeling? And I guess the other one was they just checked the heart rate. Because the heart rate is what checks their stress level that's going on. So just 2 things, heart rate and then how they're feeling. And it's those things that figured out that stress can be helped with just smiling. So the first one, that neutral face, they had the highest amount of stress during that entire activity. Those who had the chopstick in their mouth, who just had like a standard smile, though they didn't realize it, had neutral, just kind of like a medium stress level, just kind of normal. And those who actually smiled with their eyes and their mouth had a really, really low stress level. And so it just showed the scientists that smiling is what really makes us happy. It's what really helps us to de-stress and to not worry about life. So the next time you wake up, just remember to smile. Just remember that if you have so much going on, especially with finals coming up in the next few weeks, if you smile, your stress level is going to go down. And so we're going to do this activity one more time. 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you.